What's going on, YouTube? Come back at you with another video. So I got some interesting information to share with you. We've got the United States Attorney's Office's case pretty much that they're trying to make against these people involved in this indictment. This is quite a bit to go through. I'm going to go as fast as I can. I want to, before I start, make sure you remember everything that I'm reading is not fact. It's just allegations. This is what's being alleged at the time. It does not mean it's fact. It does not mean it happened, and it does not mean anybody is guilty of it. So keep that in mind as I'm going through this. And also let me state too, because I don't think people out there really understand, this indictment does not center around Casanova. This indictment centers around somebody named Dwight Reid, aka Dick Wolf. So I'm going to read this to you. It says, "Dear Judges Krause, McCarthy, and Davison, in advance of the initial appearances and arraignments in the matter, the government respectfully submits its position with regard to pretrial detention for the defendants. The indictment charges 17 members of the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation, a violent bloods gang that operates in New York State and across the country. For the reasons set forth below, the government respectfully submits the detention pending trial for all defendants, save one, is warranted given the facts of this case and applicable law." So it says, the indictment charges the Gorilla Stone defendants with a litany of crimes committed in furtherance of their joint enterprise. The charges include racketeering conspiracy, a large-scale narcotics conspiracy, firearms offenses, fraud, and significantly, several acts of violence. The violent acts charged in this indictment include murder, 2 attempted murders, 2 gunpoint drug robberies, and a brutal slashing. The evidence in this case is compelling. Through the course of this investigation, law enforcement obtained 6 Title III orders for interception of communications over 4 phones belonging to defendants Nia Austin, aka Baby, Ahmed Walker, aka Ammo, Christopher Erskine, aka Beagle, and Walter Luster, aka Shells. The majority of the defendants in this case were intercepted discussing the Gorilla Stone enterprise over these wiretaps. And for all the defendants, law enforcement was able to obtain direct evidence of the charged crimes through Jamal Trent, aka Trap Smoke, the 18th defendant, is a crack cocaine supplier and associate of Gorilla Stone. So it says, let me read it again. And for all the defendants, law enforcement was able to obtain direct evidence of the charged crimes through dozens of social media warrants, cell phone extractions, recorded prison calls, surveillance video, and cell phone location data, and post-arrest interviews. Put simply, the evidence in this case, some of which is discussed below, in large measure is made up of the defendant's own words, writings, and recorded criminal acts. The Gorilla Stone enterprise and its commitment to violence. It says Gorilla Stone is a violent street gang with a national presence that was founded by Dwight Reid, aka Dick Wolf. Gorilla Stone has hundreds of members across New York State, including in all 5 boroughs of New York City, throughout the New York State prison system, and across the country, most notably in Florida and North Carolina. Gorilla Stone is comprised of 8 different sets, or caves, as they are called by gang members. Each cave has its own leadership hierarchy and reports up to the respective leaders of their particular cave. Gorilla Stone, like most Blood Street gangs, has 2 separate hierarchical rank structures. A prison lineup for Gorilla Stone members in the prison system, and the street lineup, i.e., members of the Gorilla Stone that are not incarcerated. These lineups are designed to maintain discipline within Gorilla Stone's caves. This is especially so for the street lineups. Below is a description of the various roles and responsibilities in a Gorilla Stone street lineup, which was extracted from the iCloud account of defendant Deshaun Thomas, aka Don, pursuant to a warrant. So I'm gonna skip over that. It says the description of these roles paints a picture of a highly organized, highly efficient street gang. Most concerning is the organizational commitment to violence. As laid out in the Department of Security's description, Gorilla Stone Caves has an individual responsible for arming up each cave and enforcing internal laws. As described below, the investigation has revealed that this is not simply aspirational. Gorilla Stone members violently enforce internal laws and have access to alarming supply of firearms. It says, the commitment to violence is reiterated in the 16 Gorilla Stone rules that must abide by. 3 of them recovered from Thomas iCloud's account. You see what it says. These rules are not careless musings. As described below, Gorilla Stone members are charged in this indictment with carrying out brutal acts of violence against rival gang members. Under the Bail Reform Act, okay, so they're trying to, I'm not going to go through all this legal mumbo jumbo. They're basically talking about the bail situation now. It says, set forth below is a summary of the charges each defendant faces, as well as the government's position on detention. Many of the defendants charged in this indictment are among the highest ranking members of Gorilla Stone. The government submits that pretrial detention is appropriate for all defendants except Shanae Outlaw, who is not charged with an offense where there is a statutory presumption of detention. Dwight Reid, it says, Reid founded Gorilla Stone and still serves as the gang's leader. Reid is currently incarcerated on a 50-year to life sentence for a 2014 murder he committed by shooting a victim at point-blank range in the head. Through the course of this investigation, law enforcement has learned that Reid still maintains an iron grip over Gorilla Stone from behind bars, including the gang's lucrative narcotics distribution operating in New York City and upstate New York, as well as the gang's various fraud schemes. Reid is charged in the following counts. Count 1, Count 13, and Count 14. And those are actually the same ones the Casanovas charged under, which is interesting. It says, given the heinous crime Reid has already been convicted of, and while incarcerated, his continued leadership of a violent organization which he founded, the government is seeking detention of Reid. Christopher Erskine is the highest ranking street leader of Gorilla Stone. Through wiretaps of Erskine's phone, the government has learned that Erskine's role transcends the cave structure described above. Erskine occupies a unique position as the gang's street leader that Erskine and other gang members refer to as the Sun. Erskine has been captured on wiretaps admitting his role in the Gorilla Stone enterprise, saying on one recording, "Until Wolf, take me off this shit, I'm supposed to have the streets." Again, you have to remember everything in this is all alleged. Erskine has repeatedly made clear over wiretaps that violence is what fuels Gorilla Stone and what allows one to advance through its ranks. In a recording where Erskine and defendant Walter Luster are discussing leadership roles for other gang members, Erskine expressed disappointment that a leadership candidate did not reach for a gun during a dispute, which proved to him that the individual wasn't sturdy. Similarly, Erskine was intercepted discussing defendant Stephen Hughes' arrest on state charges for a New Rochelle shooting discussed in more detail in section below. Erskine believed that not putting up the entirety of Hugh's bail out of the gang's collective fund would allow Hugh to get his name up in prison by slapping a couple dudes in the face. Thus, Erskine believed in Hugh's standing in the gang could be benefited through acts of violence in prison. This particular axiom of Gorilla Stone, that a member can increase his or her standing through acts of violence against rivals, is reflected on numerous recorded prison calls made by Gorilla Stone members that were reviewed as a part of this investigation. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink of water. I may take a few drinks here and there, so don't mind me. It says, Erskine's leadership role and emphasis on violence has meant that other, more junior members of Gorilla Stone have turned to him to authorize acts of violence. In one interception, another member of Gorilla Stone pleads with Erskine to give him authorization to commit an act of violence. Erskine agrees that an act of violence is warranted and says, knock him out, you got to knock him out. Erskine's leadership role extends to the gang's expansive narcotics distribution business. In the course of this investigation, the government learned that Erskine acts as one of the gang's primary suppliers of cocaine and crack cocaine. In addition, over the course of the wiretap on Erskine's phone, Erskine has been intercepted discussing drug debts and payments he is owed. The conduct is all more troubling considering Erskine's age. He is 37 years old and has 2 prior felony convictions for narcotics trafficking. Erskine faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in prison and qualifies as a career offender under the United States sentencing guidelines, given his 2 prior felony narcotics convictions. Erskine is charged in the following counts. List them. It says Erskine's leadership role in Gorilla Stone, his promotion of violence within the ranks of Gorilla Stone, and his continued involvement in day-to-day narcotics trafficking, despite 2 prior convictions or narcotic convictions, make pretrial detention warranted. So I'm just going to skip through. If you guys want me to read everybody else that's listed on this indictment, what they've been charged with, I will be more than happy to go through it for you. I'm going to go down, though, to Casanova. We're going to see exactly what they're alleging in regards to Casanova. So here we go. We'll get to Casanova. It says, Caswell Sr., a.k.a. Casanova. Sr. is a rapper of some notoriety. Using his public platform, he has amplified the message of the gang, both through his music and his social media profiles. For example, he appeared on a gang anthem this summer, Big Ape, which has garnered over 1.8 million views on YouTube since June 3rd. In addition, he has used his Instagram page to pay homage to the gang, posting the below photos demonstrating his allegiance to the gang. So you can see the pictures. This is what they're trying to claim. It says, Senior has closely coordinated his artistic endeavors to benefit the gang. For example, over recorded prison calls, the government has learned that defendant Reid shares in some of Senior's earnings. Senior has also relied on Gorilla Stone members for protection. In wire intercepts, defendant Luster is recorded admitting that Senior has called upon him to provide protection and firearms, hammers, while Senior was traveling across the country. Senior's pending robbery charge, the underlying conduct for which was captured on high-quality surveillance video in New York County Supreme Court, provides a concrete example of how he has relied on the gang for acts of violence. In clear surveillance video Taken from a diner in Manhattan in August 2018, Senior is seen lunging across the table for a victim's cell phone. A scuffle ensues, and eventually a fellow Gorilla Stone member, Bobby Williams, places the victim in a chokehold until the victim lost consciousness and dropped to the floor. Senior has also personally committed acts of violence. In addition to his current open robbery charge, Senior has been twice convicted of robbery in the first degree. In public interviews, he is admitting to stabbing inmates while incarcerated on those charges, and the government has recovered photos from his iCloud account of several firearms demonstrating his continued access to weapons. In addition to publicly promoting the gang and glorifying its activities, Senior is also a drug supplier for Gorilla Stone. Through direct Instagram messages and iMessages obtained through search warrants, the government has learned that Senior uses gang members, including both Nia Austin and Brandon Soto, aka Stacks, to sell drugs throughout New York. Austin, as described above, and Soto, as described directly below, are two of the gang's most violent members and prolific drug dealers. Senior faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in prison, and because of his prior violent felony convictions, is a career offender under the guidelines. Senior is charged in the following counts. It says Senior's prior violent felonies or the fact that Senior's gang activity has continued while on pretrial release for his open robbery case, his continued access to firearms, and willingness to rely on the gang to provide protection, in some cases violently, are all factors that weigh heavily on favor of detention. So that's what they're saying as far as Casanova goes. They're saying that they have messages, they have social media, they have pictures, they have recorded phone calls. It doesn't look like Casanova, they're listing anything where he was directly doing stuff. But again, they're saying he was a gang member, he was connected to this gang, and they're definitely not playing when it comes to trying to take him down. Sad situation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Anything else that comes about this case, I will definitely bring to you. Leave some feedback. Hit the like, subscribe, share. Make sure you ring the notification bell if you're subscribed so you get updates on my future videos when they drop. Before you leave, please take just 1 second too to click the link I'm going to pin as a top comment. It's going to take you to a dope artist out there trying to get his YouTube channel monetized. He's almost there. Please click the link and subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing. Appreciate you watching.